depends on WDXE News, on the air since 1951. This is The Legend, 105.3, 95.3, WDXE.
And it's time for an edition of the Friends and Neighbors Hour, and my friend and neighbor today is none other than, you know what I didn't do? Sorry, David.
Not a problem.
David Morgan is in the house, and I need to turn the camera on. There we go. Let me fix that. I forgot to turn the camera on.
Well, I've got a radio face, Jeff, so it'd probably be better if we just kept it off. But anyway,
I was off a week, and it's got me off schedule a little bit on my button pushing. So whatever. Anyway, County Executive David Morgan, and a longtime friend of mine. I've been a friend of your family, I guess, for a long time.
Yeah, I'd
got
say
to know your dad many years ago, and know most all of your family, and of course was aware when you decided to step into the role of county executive. But you wear many hats. You're a baseball coach or ball coaching and all that kind of stuff. But I know you had a busy night. We'll talk about some of that.
Yeah, I just want to first say, man, our thoughts and prayers are with all the people in the south end of the county, the Bonnertown, 5 Points area, Appleton. Got hit by a tornado last night. So
yeah.
I was there. Stephanie and I were there till probably 4 o'clock this morning. The South End Fire Hall became the base of operations for all of our EMA and county fire, EMS.
Okay.
Also, surrounding area fire halls came in to help, North Alabama, various other places, because they were hit as well. So I just want to say our prayers and thoughts for those families and those people there that have been impacted. A handful of homes were completely leveled and destroyed.
Oh my.
And I got an update here from our county fire chief. Let me get that right here real quick. Tyler McDowell. He said about 10 structures were damaged. Some of them totally leveled. Others had significant damage. No injuries that we know of at this point. There was one man who was trapped in his car. A tree had fell on his car, and Southeast Fire Hall and Centerpoint Fire Hall were able to help him get out of the car with no injury. And so, again, we were down there last night, and we drove around, looked at the damage. It was significant. LUS was there on the spot, putting up power lines, because power lines were ripped down.
Oh, yeah.
So it was significant, and of course, that was in the dark, so
Sure.
I'm headed down there as soon as I get off the air with you, to be down there with our guys, and it's gonna, hopefully we're gonna, see all that they've been able to put back together.
Well, it actually made some of the Nashville news. On my way in this morning, I was listening to one of the Nashville stations, and they were talking about Lawrence County and specifically Bonnertown, and that they were going to investigate to see if it was, and verify that it was a tornado, evidently. It evidently was.
Yeah, apparently so. I'm no meteorologist or
Yeah.
but one of the privileges of being county executive is you get to help manage and fund emergency services and emergency management. So Shelton Barnett, excuse me, is our EMA director for the county. Tyler McDowell is our fire chief for Lawrence County Fire Halls, and I'll talk a little bit about kind of how that's become a reality over the last few years. And then, of course, Michelle and Kane are over our EMS department. So we had all the different departments represented down there. Even Jay Moore from Lawrenceburg Fire was down there on the scene, and Brian Green and various ones. So it's just awesome to see our community come together in moments like this. And,
they seem to always do.
So proud of these folks that, they're willing to drop whatever they're doing.
Sure.
And get up and go in the middle of the night, to save lives. And so I appreciate that about them.
Yeah, the community fire halls, they've really been dug in all around, and seem to do just a fantastic job, coordinate with each other very well, all that kind of stuff. So can you speak to that a little bit more? Or?
Yeah. So when I was campaigning 4 years ago, I can't believe it's been 4 years, by the way, but when I was campaigning 4 years ago, one of the things I heard on the trail was, we need some help in county fire. We need some help in EMS. They oftentimes felt like their voice wasn't heard. And so, and again, on the commission, there wasn't a specific committee to deal with emergency services, personnel, or issues, or whatever concerns. And so I started a new committee called the Emergency Services Committee. And on the left side of the table, I put 4 commissioners that have experience in emergency services. On the right side of the table, I put people that are doing it every day with their life. Non-commissioners, but like my EMA director, Shelton Barnett, Tyler McDowell, who had been voted by all the county fire chiefs, all these volunteer fire halls. He had been voted to be their representative and to be their coordinator. So put him on there, Jay Moore on there, and then my goal in the next term is to get our E911 director, Chad Moore, on there too, because the first call that's made in any emergency situation goes to E911, and so the director of E911 should sit on that board as well. So we've been able to sit down around the table. We've been able to let people come in, EMS employees and county fire chiefs and different things come in and share, their concerns, their thoughts, what can make things better for them, best practices type stuff. And I'm proud to say we have increased their funding over 100% since I've been in office. So it's never been done in the history of Lawrence County. And of course, I couldn't do that without the commission. But and how we've done that, Jeff, is we've been fiscally responsible all throughout the year, and we've saved money in our budget. We passed a balanced budget every single year that I've been in office, and we've had a surplus every single year. So we didn't just balance it, we saved a ton of money along the way. And so with the surplus at the end of every year, we're able to give county fire another allocation, and that allocation has more than doubled the funding they were receiving before I came into office. And so very, very proud of that. And the reason why that's good is because for so long, these guys and gals have been volunteering their time to cook fish or to do roadblocks or to do this fundraiser or that fundraiser, to have a dirt bike race go on at one of them. And they've volunteered their time to raise money so that they can volunteer their time to save our lives.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, I mean, and that's what makes this county so great, is people like that. And I even found out a lot of the equipment that's been purchased over the decades, they put their name on loans. Like 2 or 3 of the guys in the fire hall would have their name on a loan for a $250,000 back then fire engine, which is now $1 million fire engine.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
They would tie up their own ability to borrow money.
Sure.
Right? So if they had a business or they wanted to expand their farm or their house, hey, they had a $250,000 note over here hanging on their credit, So, but that's incredible. And so, I mean, these are the kind of folks that really make Lawrence County what it is. And I saw that last night. They all come together. Everybody's gung-ho, ready to go. They did not have a lack of support last night. There were boots on the ground. The equipment was there. Everybody was ready to rock and roll. And I think they made an impact really quick, too. So they cleared the roads and made a way for LUS to get where they needed to go. And the highway department was there, too. Highway department was there clearing trees and getting things out of the way.
Well, that's a pretty good testimony to the people who are organized and well equipped to do what they do. And they seem to have their act. All these communities that's got these fire halls and community clubs, they're to be commended. They take it seriously.
Well, my thing was they were losing volunteers. The average age of the volunteers was in their 50s, I think.
Yeah.
Across the board, they couldn't get young people involved. Young people today I'm so sorry, I'm coughing like crazy.
It's all right. I have to drink myself.
Young people today seem to have more things pulling at them all the time than maybe what it was when I was growing up.
Yeah.
And so for them to be able to have time to volunteer to save lives is one thing, but for them to have time to volunteer to cook fish or to do this or that, it's a whole other thing. And so
it's a big commitment those guys have made. And it takes someone that, number one, has that desire, number two, has the time and ability to make themselves available. So it's a big challenge.
Well, last night I was so proud. There were 3 new young recruits standing there.
Yeah.
Watching the whole scene, watching their little central command table they had with the maps of the county, and they were tasking people with going and checking this quadrant, that quadrant of the area. And these 3 young men, one's name's Levi Vanderford. He just became a sheriff's deputy over in Wayne County, but he lives here in Lawrence County. I coached him in basketball growing up, and he's a friend of my son Ben, who's there. They're only 19, 20 years old.
Yeah.
And here he is standing there in the middle of the night, ready to help, ready to save lives. And so super proud of those guys.
Good job to those guys, and so thankful that no one was seriously hurt. I hadn't heard about the home structures being destroyed though yet.
Yeah, yeah. I saw some of it last night.
Wow.
Yeah. There was a spot actually. Rabbit Trail Road was shut down for quite some time because of the power lines just being completely mangled and laying on the ground. You know, you can't. There was a spot that I went in Five Point or Appleton area. There was power lines down across the road in Appleton as well with the big trees that had fallen and whatnot. So
Yeah.
and that was just in the dark, what we could see. So
Wow.
who knows?
Be a lot of work yet to go. I'm sure. Well, David, there's a lot of areas to talk about in the county and county government. One of the biggest, of course, is schools and education. So tell me a little bit about what's going on in our school systems at Lawrence County.
Well, if look, we have 5 kids. There was a talk at one time early in our marriage about homeschooling, and my wife said, "David, if you want your children to know how to read and write," she says, "you better not leave them at home with me." You know, she was homeschooled most of her life, or private school. She never went to public school. So I've joked with her. I've been trying to pry that silver spoon out of her mouth ever since we met. You know, I can't believe her daddy said yes, but anyway. But no, I'm a public school kid, man. Grew up right here in Lawrence County and went to public school, LP, old public school. You know, kindergarten was in the basement, and all the way up, you know, to new public in 2nd grade, halfway through the year, and then Ilkoff and Lawrence County High School. And so, man, I couldn't be more proud of our school system. I'll tell you, Michael Atkins has been a joy to work with. This school board has been incredible to work with. You know, they come to us every year and they ask for their base funding, but then they ask for an increase in what's called maintenance of effort. And what that is, Jeff, is that they get a portion of the sales tax in this county that goes directly to schools, and so what we have to do if we give them an increase in maintenance of effort every year is they're going to get that money at the end of the year whether we recognize it or not. But what happens is they can't budget for it that year because we anticipate increase in sales tax, and that it kind of goes up every year. There's it gets a little higher. So what we do is we give them an increase of their MOE, and maintenance of effort means that by law, whatever we do this year, whatever effort we put forth this year with the finances, we can't retract that next year, right? So it could be that we'd have bad economic times and that the amount of sales tax would go down, but we still have to maintain that maintenance of effort to the school system, whatever that dollar amount is that we allocate for them. So I've been proud to be, every year we've been able to increase that. It's usually about it's usually about a $750,000 ask. And what they've done with those over the last few years is they've been able to guarantee teachers raises every year with that money. They've been able to guarantee that we put, one of the things I'm probably most proud of about what's happened with the school system, and again, I have a little bit to do with this because of the financial side, right? Make it possible for them. But they have put mental health counselors that are working throughout the county in our school systems, and their dockets are completely full. Their schedules and calendars are packed full of kids that need to have time with a counselor. And we just don't live in the Norman Rockwell era anymore when you got families sitting together around the kitchen table, and there's a lot of instability in the homes of a lot of children and different things going on in culture. And so our mental health counselors, we've always had guidance counselors in the schools, but they weren't mental health counselors in the sense of a counselor to sit down and talk with a child through their anxiety or their depression or their fear, whatever they're dealing with in their life. And so that's been a huge plus for our school system. We're finding children that have that are in a bad situation, right?
Sure.
Because they got somebody to talk to now.
Sure.
Kids Place is involved as well in helping in situations like that. There's been situations where a child reveals domestic abuse in the home, and the shelter's been able to get involved and help the mother, get help during that. So, because the county commission okayed for us to increase their MOE, the school system knows what to do to take care of the kids in their school the best, and incredibly proud of that. And I want to see us be able to do more of that over the years to come.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Very, very good. What about how are we doing with classroom? A number of classrooms versus students and all that. Are we over filled up, or how are we doing?
So there are a couple schools that are 95% full. And,
Sure.
and it's Etheridge Elementary School, Leoma, from what I understand. The ones that are kind of in the middle of the county there. So here's a huge positive. All right, so that was one of the big questions when I came into office. We're going to have to build new schools. New schools. Well, goodness, a new school's $50-60 million. You know,
That's a lot of money.
according to what you're building. That's if you're building. You know, so there've been talk about needing a new school here and there, and I talked to T.R. Williams about it. He said, David, you know, a school is nothing but concrete floors, block walls, and roofs. You know, he said we have those buildings. We can add on to those buildings. We can remodel those buildings. He's like, you know, concrete doesn't just deteriorate, you know, overnight, and he's right about that, because so what we were able to do with a bond issue we did a couple of years ago, we gave the school system $12 million to loosen their belt, if you will, on classroom space. And I'm proud to say today that they paid out of their own fund balance for a study to be done on growth and where they needed to loosen the belt, if you will, and make it space. And so I sat in that meeting. The conclusion of that study said that Lawrence County school system is in a good place for the next 10 years to be able to make room. They got to shuffle the deck a little bit. You may hear, you know, you've heard some talk probably already of well, they're gonna put in some zoning where kids have to go to a certain school that's within their area, as opposed
Sure.
to just being able to go to any school that has openings. And
Sure.
so I'm proud to say the $12 million we gave them, they were able to apply that.
And of course, this is the responsibility of the school board, right, to direct that?
Yeah, it's not, yeah, because we are I could go down a rabbit hole, but we're a 57 Act county, so the laws of 1957 that governed how county governments and school boards and road superintendent, how they all work together, we still do ours the way they did it in 1957. There's an 81 Act that combines all that together, where there'd be one budget office for all three of those entities. And I did some surveys when I first came in and talked with Michael Atkins, and they really like the way it works with the 57 Act, and I do too. I think the school board is more than capable of making the decisions they need to make. I mean, the school system's the largest employer in Lawrence County, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think it's our responsibility as county government to micromanage them. It's our responsibility to get them what they need to do what they do. And at the same time, we get to sit back and represent the community and the citizens, and there's an accountability that comes with the commission, the county executive, you know, okaying their budget and giving them what they need
Sure.
to do what they do. So
Sure. Well, where do you see? I don't know. I was going to ask you about the. We've kind of talked about the school system, talked a little bit about emergency services, but what about infrastructure, just in general, and county growth that's happening, because it is happening.
oh yeah, we've grown. Well, Lawrenceburg has grown since the previous census. Of course, there's 2023 census in the every 6 years ago. I said
Yeah.
2017, but Lawrenceburg grew by 9 some odd percent. The county growth was less than that. Just to put that in perspective, Murray County growth has been, goodness, 3 or 4 times what Lawrence County growth has been in the same period of time.
Okay.
I love Mayor Sheila Butt. She's a wonderful person, but I would not want to be in her position in Murray County. They got hit, you know. They got hit by the growth, and they just weren't ready for it in a lot of ways. And
Yeah.
and it's hard to always be ready. But I'm proud to say I think Lawrence County is ready. We've absorbed the growth that we have had. We've been able to save money along the way, Jeff. We've been able to be prepared for growth challenges. Now, like I was on roads last night out in the middle of the southeast corner of the county, and I was impressed with how good those roads were and the quality of those roads. I was riding. My wife and I at 3:30 this morning, were riding in the back seat of a old cop Explorer, and we're driving down the road looking at damage with the other fire and rescue people that are driving in the front. And I get a little car sick sometimes sitting in the back seat, you know, and I think it's not being in control, you know.
Sure. Yeah.
But I was surprised how smooth and how good the roads were. Ryan Creek is he is putting the money where it needs to go. He's spreading it out around the county. What we've also been able to do, and I'm super proud of this, is we were able to, with this bond issue we did for the schools and roads, and then we did it. We added in there money for convenience centers and expansion of solid waste services in our county. But the money we put into roads is the highest and largest investment this county has ever made in a road building program. And so the last time there was a road building program was the first year that Donnie Joe Brown was elected to be the highway superintendent.
Yeah. Yeah.
So 26 years later, we invested again a $6 million clip, and the state of Tennessee gave us $3.2 million to work on connecting roads for state highways. So essentially $9.3 million has been given to the highway department to spread out around this county. The last road building program was a little bit over $2 million, and that was 26 years ago. So we've been able to give 4x, 5x toward roads. Of course, the price of materials is higher today, but
Sure.
But we're seeing it. We're seeing the effects. And last night, I noticed the quality of some of these roads. I was out there clearing trees and doing things, and I'm like, man, I'm proud of the fact that this road is as far as you can get away from the center of the county.
Yeah.
But yet it's well
got a
maintained.
good road.
Yeah, well maintained. And
Yeah.
I know they're not all perfect. And hey, look, we've got a little bit over 1,000 miles of just county roads. And while I'm on here, let's let the public understand something. Springer Road is not a county road, right?
No.
It's in Lawrence County, and there's an argument there that the mayor makes with me, but that's a city street, right? And so
Yeah.
the city maintains city streets.
Yes.
They have their own people that do that. The county government maintains county roads, which there's way more county roads, okay?
Yes.
At the end of the day, so. We have over 1,000 miles of county roads, and then there's state roads, state highways,
Yep.
state 2-lane highways, state 4-lane highways. So, and the state maintains those roads. And so,
So there's a
know where your pothole is supposed to be filled from. What bucket?
there's a jurisdiction of roads. Yes.
And we can't spend county money on a city street. We can't spend county money on a state highway.
Yes.
We can't do that. So there's laws against that. So, yeah, if you got a pothole out by
An
you,
example of a state highway, I guess, is Buffalo Road a state highway?
Buffalo Road's a state highway.
Buffalo Road's a state highway.
Yeah, so various ones like that.
Yeah. And there's others.
Yeah, state routes. You'll see a state route sign on
West Point Road,
That's right.
state highway.
Fall River Road.
Fall River Road.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
There's a
yeah.
lot. There's a lot.
Rabbit Trail Road, Thrill Hill down there,
That's where I got my first speeding ticket, by the way.
it's wide open through. I caught air in my 67 Mustang. I hit that hill I'm not even gonna say how fast I was going on the air here. I mean,
Yeah.
But get those four wheels off the ground a little bit when you come over that hill. It's
the
pretty
very
fun.
the very first day I had my driver's license, I headed there and got a ticket.
There you go. It's the place you want to be, huh?
Absolutely. Anyway, so wow. Anyway, good deal. Well, so that what we're talking about touches, I guess, economic development and goals for that, that kind of thing. And you've been involved in that, I know. But we have kind of pockets and efforts all over for that. That would include the city, the county, and the Chamber of Commerce, all those people working together. So talk about that a little bit, the coordination between all that.
Yeah, so that's been one of the, I guess, more intriguing and interesting things I've been able to be involved in is how that process works, right? So industry is always looking for opportunities and places to come to find quality. First thing they look for is quality workforce.
Yeah.
And man, I'm proud to say Lawrence County, when I came in, we did some studies, and Ryan Egley at the Chamber informed me that we had over 9,000 people a day that leave our county to work outside of Lawrence County. Out of 47,000 people, 9,000, that's a huge chunk of our people.
Yeah.
That are driving to go work at GM or Giles County Industrial Park or wherever. Down in North Alabama, a lot of these are medical too, so a lot of these are nurses and things like that. But so one of the things that you want to do in government is you want to provide some quality jobs, high-paying jobs, good-paying jobs where people can redeem some time, maybe save a couple hours of drive time a day, Every hour they get to spend here in Lawrence County are hours they get to be with their family. They get to participate in what's going on with their children or grandchildren. And so Magna International came knocking at the door. I actually, as a contractor, well, you were with DRM for a while.
Sure,
DRM,
sure.
we did work for Magna.
Yeah.
Up in Spring Hill and a couple of their other plants. Anyway, and when I went out on my own contracting, I did some work for Magna in Spring Hill, and then also they had a building there in Columbia, just across from DRM North, across the highway.
Sure.
So did some work for Magna there, so I was familiar with Magna, but I didn't understand how incredibly huge they were. They're the largest Tier 1 auto part manufacturer in the world, and they have over 300 and something plants worldwide. They're so diversified. They make about everything you could put in a car, right?
Yeah.
And so they came knocking and said, we want to build a frame stamping. It's a stamping room, basically, the biggest presses you've ever seen in your life. But they stamp frames for vehicles. So think about it. A flat piece of steel rolls off the roll, goes through the slitter, it gets cut, and then it goes through the appropriate presses from there on, and that press is hammering out a frame for a truck or a car or whatever their contracts are at the time. So that's what they brought to Lawrence County. It is the largest. This is crazy, and I didn't realize this. You know, Murray had a huge impact in this county,
Yeah.
and they brought a ton of money and a ton of opportunity. Magna is the largest financial investment industrially in the history of Lawrence County. It was automatic property tax revenue, even with a property tax break that we gave them kind of to, you have to incentivize a lot of these plants.
Sure.
They got options. They can go anywhere they want to go.
That's right.
So we were able to incentivize them for a 20-year abatement, but they still pay 40% of what their property tax is going to be 20 years from now. But without that being there, we wouldn't have been getting that 40%, right?
Sure.
So that's helped us keep from, we haven't had to raise property taxes. We haven't even had to have a conversation about raising property taxes. As a matter of fact, with our latest appraisal evaluation, which everybody's going to get in the mail here in the next few weeks, you know, it looks like our property tax rate is actually going to go down again. And so, you know, people don't see that necessarily on that property tax statement because the value of their home has gone up.
Right.
But we have to lower the actual rate. We get to lower the rate. And so we're at 2.01 right now. And I would say it's safe to say we'll be a sub 2 rate on every $100 of value. So, but Magna's made a big impact. Couple hundred employees up there at this point. They've got plans of expansion and growth. Half of that building is not even built out yet, so they're going to utilize that at some point down the road. Very high tech, very clean, and again, it fits our MO here. Like we don't want battery plants, we don't want chemicals, we just don't want all that kind of mess in Lawrence County. A stamping facility is a great. It really fits who we are. Our TCAP programs can funnel kids right into working there and making, you know, I think their average wage is $32, $50, $33 an hour.
I'm sure.
That's a great job in Lawrence County.
It is a great job.
And they brought other industry. So, and you said, you talked about us working together. The city of Loretto has increased their industrial park. We've been able to invest money in that industrial park so they could have proper sewage and things for the expansion down there. Mayor McMasters is excited and about the opportunities that are growing in Loretto as well. And you know, we've been able to see some expansion of our industrial park in Etheridge, and it's bittersweet for me. Being a first generation farmer, you know, there's some ground, there's some good farm ground up there that's going to have industry built on it in the future. And I know that's always a struggle for a lot of folks, and I respect that and understand that. But there is also a balance, to providing quality jobs and opportunity. You know.
Good deal. Good deal. David Morgan, everybody, county executive here in Lawrence County. And I guess we can open up the phone line, 766-9393, if you want to talk to David. Well, I lost my place here. I've lost my, there you go, right there it is. I have seen, and I know a lot of us have noticed, a tremendous amount of apartment building.
Yes, there have been.
And a lot of us are curious about that. We got a call, though. Let's see who's going on the phone. And, well, they left. Anyway, sorry about that. I missed it because
there.
Well, I'm turning the ringer back on. I had the ringer off and I missed it. So let's try that one more time. All right. Hey there, you're on the air with us.
You had the ringer off because I'm a pest. No, I have a question. Well, actually, I have several comments and a question. It has to do with people that are on the education board. What have they done to make sure they have the skills? Because I will tell you, I graduated in '62, so you can figure I'm an older lady. But I will tell you positively, absolutely, unequivocally, the teachers had our English in place by the 8th grade, that we could pass a college test. In fact, college gave us an English test, and if you made A's and B's, you still didn't get your degree until you passed the basic English test. But my question has to do with the board members and the teachers. How have they upgraded their skills? Because you can only teach about something if you don't know how to do it. And, you know, one of the jokes is, it's amazing that, it's not a joke, I'll have to rephrase it, but in other words, how come a business teacher doesn't have a business? How come a PE teacher that's supposed to help us be healthier smokes? And I just want to throw that out. A second thing has to do with mental health. They need to be incredibly careful with how they doc, because I know PhDs in psychology not diagnose. And, you know, when you start getting into the medical, you have to be just real careful. But I want to throw those out. I've got other things, but I'll quit for today.
Okay, all right. That's Peggy. I think she was asking about the qualifications, I guess, for
School board.
school board, and I guess qualifications of our teachers. Of course, there are standards and practices for that.
Yeah. I mean, and again, that's waters that I don't wade in very often. As the CFO of the county, my responsibility is to, present a budget to the commission and balance that budget. But when you're talking about English, Peggy, I'm going to tell you, I had Ronnie Bonner in 6th grade at Lawrenceburg Public School, and we diagrammed sentences, and I had never liked vocabulary and reading and all that stuff until we got to break out the rulers and protractors. And because I was an artist, something I loved to do was draw, and I've always liked to build, and so I was going to be an architect coming out of high school. Actually, I was going to UT Architecture School is what my original plan for my future was.
Sure.
But when Ronnie Bonner taught us how to diagram sentences, I'm telling you, I've never forgotten it. I've never forgotten how to do that and how to break a sentence apart. And little did I know someday I would be a word nerd, even though I've got this wonderful Southern accent. As a minister and as somebody that publicly speaks all the time, you
Sure.
got to pay attention to what you say. So yeah, I'm raising 5 children, Peggy, and I'm a little concerned sometimes about my son. And my son Eli is going into high school, and I said, "You're going to take honors English." I took honors English all the way through, and if I took regular English, I'd probably made a little better grade at the end of the day. But honors English helped me, and it pushed me a little harder and a little
Sure.
further. And I think part of the challenge is kids just don't have the support system at home that they used to have, and teachers are overwhelmed with trying to bring kids up to the standards and help them catch up. And we're doing all we can to help support those situations. But I'm going to leave policy and procedures and qualifications up to the people that are more equipped and qualified to do that, Jeff. That's kind of the way I look at that. So the school board, I guess, is probably the same as any other elected position. I mean, if you can be elected to that position, then you have that position. It's more based upon where you live and what district you're in rather than qualifications. So
That's true.
I don't even know. I don't know. I'd have to read up on the qualifications for school board. I've never looked into it. But again, that's the responsibility of the citizens to hold.
I once served on the school board, and given that note, the qualifications aren't that high.
I was about to say, have they raised the qualifications since then, Jeff? At least I hope they have.
So
great question.
So anyway,
let me speak to the mental health side.
Yeah,
So
do that.
She did caution us about that. Well, so these mental health counselors are, master's degree level mental health counselors with all the appropriate hours of supervision and all those things. And so their competency competency level is something that I put full faith in for them to help our children in our schools.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, someone else wants to talk to us. Good morning. You're on with us.
Yeah. So the reason it's women say, or grandmother's mama said, "Don't play with fire, you wet bed." It's a Southern old wives' tale. It's like a Grimm's fairy tale. It's so you don't play with fire.
Okay. All right. I'm not sure. I'm not sure where you're coming from there. Is
there a question?
Oh no, I'm on the wrong station.
You're on the wrong station. I think he's listening to someone else.
Oh, he's trying to get in the Mark show.
Yeah, he was trying to get in the Mark show.
All right.
So anyway, that happens.
It's a different ringtone sound. So was that?
No. He just dialed this station.
Yeah. What do they say? If you play with fire, you'll get burned.
That's true.
All right.
So there you go. Don't play with fire. Don't play with fire. Well, so as you begin, I guess, and have begun your campaign for re-election. Mm-hmm. So what are the things on the horizon for Lawrence County, and what are your visions and goals at this point?
Well, I want to remain just transparent as I have been, and even then some, and that's one of the things I ran on was transparency and responsibility in government. We've been able to upgrade our systems within the commission to where all of our commissioners will be voting electronically. So the way it's always worked in the room is the roll is called and they vote. They go from Z to A or A to Z, and now they all have iPads and they'll vote on there where everybody's vote will be tabulated at the exact same time. Which is really good. All of our committee meetings, that's where the work actually gets done, by the way, is in committee. Those are all video now and broadcast. So everything that's said in any meetings are said on film and audio recording. So that's very important. I refuse to break the Sunshine Law, which it basically essentially says I can't be gathering with commissioners outside of those committee meetings and trying to sway them to vote a certain way in a certain situation. You may have phone calls with the commissioner here and there saying, hey, what are your thoughts on this coming up or that? But I'm very careful to not say, hey, I need you to vote this way or whatever. So I've been very proud of that. We put out a weekly article talking about what's going on in the county. Mm-hmm. It's on Facebook. And once I announced that it was in the newspaper for the first 3 years, but once I announced I was running back in August, the newspaper quit carrying my articles. I said, hey, we can write it in the third person. I could let my assistant just write that so we could still keep the citizens up to speed. So if you read the newspaper out there and you wonder where I've gone, they wanted a considerable amount of money a month to keep running my articles. And so
anyway. I find that kind of interesting because I picked up a paper just this morning, and you've got Paige Wally doing an article. Mm-hmm. And you've also got Kip Capley with a big, huge article. Mm-hmm. And they're in there all the time.
Now their war chest is a lot bigger than mine. I would say.
Are they paying for those?
No, until Kip started running again. And listen, this is an assumption. I assume they're making Kip pay for that. Now, Paige is not running for re-election right now. So
yeah, but you know that he will.
Yeah, he will. No, I know. And so
I guess my point is, they know they're going to.
Hey, look, I'm glad we got new ownership of these papers. They're keeping them alive, but at the same time, I really don't understand that one. And I've tried to get a meeting with them.
Yeah.
To really sit down and talk about it, but I can't seem to get that meeting. So anyway, we'll see what happens.
Let's see if someone else wants to chime in with us this morning. Hey, good morning. You're on WDXE with us.
Yes, I heard you guys talking about the school system, and I just thought I'd pose the question is our nation better for having a public school system and taking away the responsibility of parents to actually raise their kids, or have we got a better country or a worse country looking forward? That's all I'd like to ask.
Hey, yeah, I'll opine on that.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Man, look, I've been to 28 different nations around the world doing missionary work. And there's never been a time that I've flown back into America that I wasn't thanking God for this incredible country that we live in.
Amen.
We are not perfect. And we never have been perfect. I mean, for the first 150 years, we condoned the atrocity of slavery in this country and justified it and built our beautiful big cities and national capital on the backs of slave labor. I don't think America was greater then than it is now. No, we've come a long way to be able to heal and right a lot of the wrongs. What the problem is, there's always things we can improve in government. But the main issue, Jeff, is the erosion of the family in our country.
I agree with that. 100%.
And I'm going to tell you right now, that goes back to the progressive era in our country, and a lot of laws that were passed and various things that happened, and the cultural revolution that happened, where the autonomy of the family, the strength of the family, the sanctity of life, all these things that really matter, the sanctity of marriage, all these things began to be questioned and subverted and turned upside down. And I know a lot of people got a lot of opinions about all that stuff, but I'm going to tell you, if you look at the disparaging things about our culture today, teenage suicide rate, teenage pregnancy rate, all the other things, the divorce rate, all that, you can look at it, you can tie it all back to that era. And it's escalated since then because we have said collectively, at least the out loud voice of American culture has said, we don't need God anymore. We took prayer out of schools. We took the Bible out of schools. It was the #1 textbook in American schools up until the 1930s.
Yeah. And
we expect to stay a godly nation that has strong moral fiber. No, we're not that. So we've lost that in a lot of ways. But I'll tell you what I'm thankful for in Lawrence County is that we've got teachers, we've got teachers' aides, we've got cafeteria workers and custodians and school board members and school superintendent that are God-fearing people. The overwhelming majority of them are. And their hands may be tied here and there as far as what it was when I was a kid to be able to talk about the things of God at school, but they can exemplify that and they can reflect that and they can be a light in their school, and they're doing that. FCA has grown by leaps and bounds. I'm on the board of FCA. Ben Gooch has done an incredible job, but he can't do anything without teachers and coaches, people getting involved with him. Our school systems are not perfect, but our kids have opportunities there to find help and healing. And it's unfortunate that we do have to have mental health counselors in our schools. Mm-hmm. But I'm thankful that we do, because a lot of these children we're seeing the signs early in their life of trauma, of abuse, of things like that will lead that kid down a dark path in their life if they don't get the help they need.
Which completely falls back to the destruction of the family.
That's right. And I believe this. Listen, the church and the state are institutions that were coordinated by men, even the church. Now, the Lord instituted the church, the day of Pentecost, all that, but the organizational side of the church all started with the Apostle Paul and Apollos and Peter and James and John and all them. Marriage was not created by men. It was created by God.
Amen.
And God knew what it would take to hold a culture and a society together. He knew it would take a man and a woman to live together, to humbly serve one another, and to raise a family, and to stick it out, and to fight for that family, and to fight for godly values in that family. We have lost a lot of that in America as a whole.
Yeah.
I think in Lawrence County, we
still hold on to it quite hard.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I got involved in government. It's like, I want to keep our culture the way it is, because that's what's made us great. And the people that are moving in here from out of state, they may be moving here because we're the lowest tax state in America, but they're really moving here, and the reason why we're the lowest tax state in America is because we've had conservative Christian values here for a long time, and we value that. And the reason why they want to move here and want their kids to be in our schools and live in our communities is because of that underlying Christian ethic, and that's who we are. That's our fiber. And I'm just not a glass for the caller. I'm just not a glass half empty or bone dry guy. There's just too many things to be thankful for every day in my life for me to get up and say everything, the sky's falling and everything's burning down. So.
Yeah, I agree with you, buddy. We do have a tremendous amount to be thankful for. Absolutely. Especially in our little neck of the woods. We're in a very, very good spot in the world.
Well, I was just teaching mentioned Philippians chapter 6 in my sermon yesterday, and the Apostle Paul gives a command to the church in Philippi. He says, do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, with prayer and supplication and thanksgiving in your heart, present your concerns or cares to the Lord. And I'm messing up the wording exactly. And the God of peace, and then God will give you peace, and it will guard your heart.
Sure.
And so I just think we wake up every day and we thank God for what we have in this life and the blessings of God in our life. We're going to see things a little bit different, and the peace of God will be our strength.
Well, amen to that, 100%. David Morgan here is in the house. We've still got a very few minutes left. If you'd like to talk
Man, it's
to
already
David.
flown 54 minutes.
Can you believe that? Can you
Goodness.
believe that? We talked about education. We talked about infrastructure, economic development, fiscal responsibility. All those things come into play. And we got somebody that wants to chime in with us. Hey, good morning. You're on WDXE with us.
Yes, ask David if he knows what's going to be going in where they tore down the China buffet restaurant just north of Save-A-Lot.
Okay.
All right.
All right. We'll talk about that.
I do not know. And so there's been some talk about a few different things. And so a chicken restaurant is what I've heard. Exactly what chicken restaurant, I don't know. I would hope and pray it would be the Lord's chicken, but I've never seen a Chick-fil-A that wasn't right on the highway. So I really don't know what's going on with that building. There is the company that bought that property is out of Nashville, and I think they're kind of a build-to-suit type investment company, and so they probably have a few different vendors or potential clients that are going to come in there. Not sure exactly which one that is.
I think I had a little insight on that, David, and I think there's it is speculative at this point.
Okay.
As to what they may do.
Yeah.
I don't think they're settled on any one thing just
Yeah,
yet.
yeah.
So-
They bought the land and now they're fishing it, right? So it's
Yeah.
on the hook and they're sending it out in different franchises and things like
Yeah.
that. Let me end on something I'm probably most proud of as the CFO of the county, and it's that we've had to have 0 tax increases over the last 4 years in Lawrence County.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, it's my friend TR. I'm not as lucky as TR. When he came into office, he was unlucky actually when he came in because they only had $1 million plus a little bit in the fund balance in the rainy day fund.
Yeah.
For a county this size. And so they were underneath where they should be financially. According to the comptroller's office, they were in distress. They were having to borrow money in the fall, tax anticipation loans to pay our bills as a county until the property tax dollars came in the spring. TR and Therese Purcell and that whole crew, they dug us out of that hole and they left us with about a $7 million fund balance when he got out of office. He got so lucky his second term, he raised taxes his first term, had to, the commission, and nobody even ran against him his second term. I didn't raise taxes, I got 2 opponents, but anyway, it is what it is. So they left us a little over $7 million. That's excluding ARPA funds, American Rescue Plan money. There was an influx of that money. It's how we're building our new health department, various things that's going on right now. But so, man, I'm proud to say we just got our audited numbers from 24-25. And Jeff, we have over $14 million in our fund balance now. We went from 7 to 14 in just 4 budgets. And so, again, who you have steering the ship matters. Fiscally, there's got to be conservative principles applied to that. There's got to be a close management eye on those things. And that's something I've been very proud to be able to do. We've increased our funding in EMS. We've done a lot of different things that plug some of the holes, if you will, in our budget. And, and look, here's the deal. We've also paid off $18.2 million in debt since I've been in office. That's a lot. And,
that is a lot.
Yeah. Now, of course, the commission voted to approve a bond issue that I recommended for schools, roads, and solid waste infrastructure. So we did borrow more money. But the thing about us borrowing money as a county is we can get bond ratings. And we get bond rates, and so we've got some bonds that are less than 2%. We've got some bonds that are 1.8% interest. Well, the rate of inflation is higher than that, and the rate of growth on our money that's in savings is higher than that. So essentially, that's a wash because the money we have in savings is making more money with the accounts that Kylie Weathers has invested us in, making more interest money than we're paying in debt. So, but we paid off $18.2 million. And so if you look at it really just across the board, we borrowed $22 million in this term and we paid off 18.2. So for just about $3 million worth of difference there, we've been able to give the money to the schools they needed to build more classroom space and do what they've done. We've been able to invest money in roads, and we've been able to put money toward solid waste infrastructure, permanent infrastructure in our county. And I'm incredibly proud of that. And if you can make tax dollars work like that without having to raise taxes, that's something to hang your hat on and be proud of. And I look forward to doing that again for another 4 years. If the citizens will let me do this job again, I'd appreciate it. Yeah.
Good deal. David Morgan, everybody. And we have just about out of time, I guess. And you probably will come back and visit with us again, I'm sure.
Yeah. There's so much to talk about, so much that's been going on, and I love my job. I love to continue to do it. I love the support of Lawrence County citizens. On May the 5th is the Republican primary.
May the 5th, Republican
I do have
primary.
a challenger, commissioner, and I would love to have your support. People need to get out and vote in that primary. The early voting starts, I think, the 14th through the 20th. That you can just go to our new election commission office, which I'm proud of that too. We've been able to move them and give them a bigger facility and remodel it and do it all in-house without hiring contractors. So we use inmate labor in our maintenance department. They're more than a maintenance department. They can do building projects. They can do anything.
That's great.
Been able to do a lot with those guys. Mark Brewer's a stand-up guy, so proud
Good
of
deal.
him.
Good deal. David Morgan, everybody, and we've been listening to the Friends and Neighbor Hour right here. David will be back with us, I'm sure, but it's time for us to turn it loose.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you for being here.
Appreciate it.
See you
Thank
next time.
All right. Well, not too crazy calls.
No.
Will not be drawn into a wider war, and the president warning the U.S. is